Welcome. I'm Harmony Slater, your host of the Finding Harmony podcast. Over the past 20 years, I've taught thousands of yoga teachers and students to explore the intersection between ancient wisdom and modern everyday life, using mind-body practices to heal, awaken, and manifest their dreams from the inside out. This podcast is a sanctuary for those feeling overwhelmed by life's challenges. Are you ready to jump in and discover how these challenges aren't actually in the way, but are the way to finding harmony? Let's invite the magic back in. So if you've been here a while listening, we often talk a lot about what happens when your spiritual practice begins to evolve, when the path you've been traveling on starts to fade a little and you find yourself bushwhacking through the jungle of spiritual practices and new experiences. Well, today's guest knows that pilgrimage isn't always about the places we travel to, but about the ways that we are transformed along the journey. We are joined, Russell and I, by Cory Michael Bryant, who is our guest, and to many you may know him as the Spiritual Pilgrim. We are talking about his path from the years of dedicated Ashtanga yoga practice, which he still loves and is devoted to, but also alongside these practices has been a rich contemplative study and practice in the form of Tibetan Buddhism. We are exploring how these two seemingly different teachings somehow can weave together and point towards the same truth, that their origins actually stem from the same place, and that they may indeed be two branches off the same tree. And so I think you're going to love this episode because Cory is just a beautiful speaker and has a wonderful story. So funny, so many funny moments. And he is also planning a retreat in Nepal with our friend John Campbell. And so this is going to be a beautiful opportunity for you to slow down and reconnect and explore what Nepal is like and how Buddhism and Ashtanga yoga can come together in perfect harmony. So let's dive into this conversation and find out about what Cory has experienced and how he sees these two paths being a mirror and a complement to one another. Hi, we're back with the Finding Harmony podcast.
Welcome to the Finding Harmony podcast. This is your host, Harmony Slater. This is your co-host, Mr. Harmony Slater. We are here with a childhood neighbor of mine, Mr. Cory Bryant. We rubbed elbows and ass handles from way back in the 80s in Vincennes, Indiana. You and I know a farmer in common. The farmer, John Buchhorn, who dated my mom. You knew him as one of the fellow farmers in your neighborhood.
Yeah, it's wild. And I hardly ever meet anyone from that part of the world. So, man, it's good to meet you, Russell.
Nice to finally meet you again. I've been wondering where you've been, man. I was like, where did Cory go?
Well, this is, we all know how you got into Ashtanga yoga, Russell.
Oh, do you want to get into that?
No, we don't. But we want to find out, Cory, how on earth did you come to learn about the practice of yoga and eventually start teaching?
So, I lived in New York at 9/11. So I was living in New York, 9/11 happened. I lived on 23rd Street between 9th and 10th Avenue in Chelsea. It's an emergency route, so it was just nonstop, like mayhem, and it was very disruptive to the nervous system. Only at that point in time, I was very disconnected from all of that. It's just like, whatever, I got it. I'm good.
Were you in
But,
finance at the time? Is that what you're doing?
No, I have a PhD in food chemistry.
Oh,
and
that's
I worked
right.
for a flavor and fragrance company.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw that.
located in New York.
I remember seeing that in your
Yeah.
CV. That's right.
He's a chemist.
We can ask more questions about serotonin 2A receptors later, Harmony. Go ahead.
So this weird thing happened where like a patch of hair fell out from both sides of my head.
Oh.
And I have a lot of hair. Like I'm 56 and I still have, it's like, and so that was very strange. It's like, and I went to the doctor, and my doctor, back then I actually had a doctor.
Yeah, right.
So, and he was like, Cory, do you think maybe you're experiencing a higher level of stress? And I was like, what? Stress? No, and it just like something clicked, and I was like, whoa, I am so disconnected from what is happening with me, because I was just so type A, so like driven by like get the degrees, get the great job, do the work, have a great house, great car, like just accomplishment,
Mhm.
And so that kind of clicked. And then I mentioned this to a friend, and he was like, well, why don't you come with me to yoga? And I was like, oh, yoga, like never crossed my mind. I'm 30 years old, 32, I guess. And
Was it a girl?
No, it was a guy.
Whoa. Even weirder.
Yeah. He said, well, I'm going to take you to Jivamukti, but before I do, you should go to the Integral Yoga Institute, which was down on 13th Street.
Yeah.
It's an institution. You guys probably know
Yeah.
it. And take this like intro course. So I did. And I have this vivid memory of going to this intro course, and it was taught by this older woman in all white with a turban. And it was in a dark room, and it was super, super calming and quiet and easy, like super easy. And I was like, oh, I got this, So I did this thing. And then the hardest part was just laying there,
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, I'm ready. So he takes me to Jivamukti. Well, my first class was with Sharon.
Oh,
Sharon Gannon.
nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with Sharon Gannon, and it blew my doors off in so many ways. I mean, first of all, she started with this like PETA video that like horrified me, and I'm this farm kid, right?
Must
This is like
be vegetarian.
Yeah.
and I was like,
Yeah.
what is happening? So that was like a bit repulsive. I was kind of like, what is happening? Then the class itself kicked my butt. Like, I mean, I was a sweat puddle of mess, and my friends kind of chuckling, and it was huge, like so many people there, and there were like famous people.
Yeah.
It was such a scene, but it changed my life. Like that class changed my life, and I kept going, and I studied mostly with Sharon, David, and Ruth Lauer-Maninti,
Yeah.
and they were all students of Patabi Joyce, and they referred to him frequently. And I was kind of like, all this was new to me. And every single, like the word guru, like all of it. And I was like, what is happening? But I love it.
But even Patabi Joyce eats more animals than Sharon Gannon. It's ridiculous.
Well, yes, true. And it planted a lot of seeds that I'm still, bringing forth to this day. And I love them and respect them tremendously. So that was great. But it also introduced me to Ashtanga because they were talking about this guy, and I was like, who's this? And then I did Jivamukti teacher training in 2008.
Wow, with David and Sharon.
Yeah, with David and Sharon.
Yeah.
I think a couple of years before that, I went to a led primary. I was kind of like, oh, okay. But
You're like,
then
where's the music? And like the neck rub at the end.
Yeah, and I did love the music. I gotta admit, like the music, especially like So when I was at the teacher training, one day I happened to go into the like main hall when no one was in there, and there was this like partition, and behind that partition, David was practicing, and I saw him practicing, and I was like, what's that?
Sick.
Like
Sick.
I think it was third, maybe fourth or parts, and I was just blown away by it, but also thought, I mean, there's no way I can do that. And I used like at back then too, I was like really jacked up. And David used to crack up because he'd be like, okay, here we go. Like trying to move my muscles into the postures, So, but I was very inspired by that. And then a lot transpires in all this time, but in 2011, 12, 13, I was working for the Food and Drug Administration and traveling the world a lot. I was hardly ever in DC, which was home. And so I had to take my practice on the road, and I couldn't really connect with David and Sharon that much anymore at that point. And I thought, well, what's a way that I can like connect with them, connect with David in particular, because he was very inspirational to me. I thought I'll learn Ashtanga. So I took David Swenson's manual with me. I was living in Beijing. I started using that manual and trying to teach myself the postures and do the series. I did that in 2012, 2013. And then when I moved back to DC, I finally worked up the nerve to go to Mysore, which was Jen Renee's program, which was a big program, and Peg was part of it.
Mhm.
And I was very intimidated because I thought, like, I'm already a teacher and I'm going to walk in there and look like an idiot, you know? But I did it and it was awesome and I never looked back.
Mhm.
So I've been doing it now since that time.
Wow. Wow. And you had your own program in Nashville also.
Yeah. In 2017, I started an evening program in DC.
Okay.
And that went really well. So Jen was the morning, I had the evening. We practiced together in the mornings. It was awesome. Like I assisted her. And then part of leaving the FDA was like, I was intent on opening a studio in DC,
Mhm.
a shala.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, there's a story there, but it fell through.
Mhm.
And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I left FDA in the comfort of having a plan.
Yeah.
Because that's just how I needed to be back then.
Mhm.
But when that plan dissolved, it was like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do with my life? So then decided like, okay, Nashville doesn't have a Mysore program. It's cheaper there. It's not anymore, but it was then.
Mhm.
We'll move there and open a shala.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did that. And then COVID happened.
Brutal.
Oh, yeah. That
Yeah,
thing.
that thing. I remember that. Yeah.
You know what was so crazy for us in particular in Nashville is that we had one of the most devastating tornadoes come right through the city. I mean, right by my house, right by my shala, through downtown. It like annihilated so much stuff. And that happened 1 week before we had to close for COVID.
Mhm.
So, I mean, our neighborhood and Nashville was just turned upside down. Like,
Oh,
Mm.
wow.
it was a lot.
Yeah. What
a
an
lot.
experience.
Can I just ask a little bit about your family situation?
Yeah.
You described growing up, near Western Kentucky, and I had mentioned that to Harms. Like, I know Western Kentucky. We lived in the foothills, in Southern Illinois, Indiana, and the foothills of the Appalachians, but it's just so Baptist there. And then you get all of these German and Scandinavian Lutherans in Southern Indiana. I've sat in rooms where people with long hair have been told they were satanic in front of me. That was not uncommon. That's not an uncommon situation in the 80s, late 80s. Are you getting away with this? How are they coping with some of your lifestyle choices? I mean, you might as well be gay.
Well, I am.
Well,
I mean, I really am kind of sick of labels,
Yeah.
but yeah, I came out at least as not perfectly straight.
mhm.
And,
Yeah.
and I was married for almost 22 years,
Wow.
to a man, and he's
Wow.
awesome and I love him. And yeah, but that's been, so this is it's been a huge journey. I mean, I like know what it's like to grow up in Southern Indiana and be different.
Yeah.
I did everything under my power to hide that, and not only hide it, but like be as popular as I possibly, like it was like my daily goal to be popular.
Oh.
And I was also a bit of a mean girl. So like, I did overcome, like, like there was a lot of patterns there that I've worked with over the years, especially in these last 24 years of practicing yoga and meditation. But it's not been easy by any stretch. There have been lots of phases to this journey. But what has got me to this point is my practice. And when my parents mentioned living here, like we chose Nashville because it was like, okay, it's in the South, but it's still pretty, like it's progressive for the South, and especially East Nashville. Like East Nashville's super cool and super like, so we'll be okay. But it was a big difference. DC is the gayest place on the earth. Like it's like so gay there. And also it's like the most Democrat in America. So like DC was such a bubble, and I lived there for 16 years. Like, and then New York for 4 years before that.
Yeah.
So for 20 years, I was in this very comfortable lane in terms of just expressing myself in whatever way I wanted to and not really having to worry about it. And then Nashville was a bit of a like, whoa, okay, there's some old stuff coming back, and that was interesting. But then moving here, it was like, whoa, yeah, is this possible?
Yeah.
But I could not have done it without my practice, and I sort of have approached it as practice. Like, how can I listen? Can I be compassionate? Can I try to understand why these people see the world so differently than I do? Can I still be kind? Can I be non-judgmental? Can I engage in conversation and enjoy it, even though it's maybe not within the lanes of conversation that I would choose if I were hanging out with you two? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's been really good. Like when I'm here in the summer, when I have time, I've been working at a restaurant nearby. It's in the marina, like right next to our house. And I meet a lot of the people, which has been great. So I feel like I'm connecting a bit with the community. And I will say too that, even my mom said to me, she's like, Cory, like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, you're going to be like, when I with the job, she's like, you're going to be in Trump land. And I was like, yeah. And I said, Mom, I think I got this. And what's been interesting though, is it rarely comes up. Like most people just want to chat, be friendly, have someone to sit with, like it hasn't been as difficult as I thought it would be. And it's made me feel reconnected with this part of the world, which is where I grew up. And there are a lot of things I love about it. I come from here. Like you can't change that about yourself. You know what I mean? When you spend the first 18 years of your life in a community, in a place, it's part of you.
There's something really healing in a way about having to do that journey, whether by choice or by life, kind of forcing you back into that circle of coming back to a place that's, where you started, but now you're more fully embodied in this expression or this version of yourself and integrating sort of that past version of you with the present version of you. And it's like coming into wholeness and like having to kind of relive or go through a lot of those patterns or woundings or different things, but being able to have the capacity to hold them in a different way, which is really beautiful.
But it's really tough though. I mean, it's so tribal, and you get so used to people being on the right side of things. And then you go and you have a conversation with your dad or someone else. And it's like, am I really like, didn't we settle this? Isn't this settled territory? And like, we're having this conversation now. And I don't like, it's like living in the Midwest again, up here in Alberta, which is the Texas of Canada. It's like, it's just fucking agony going outside.
That's the spiritual
fucking agony.
No, that's the spiritual practice though.
Yes.
As Cory said, it's the opportunity. Like relationships and business are the biggest opportunity, I think, to like use for your spiritual practice, because they make you confront yourself and all of your own obstacles. Because if you're triggered, the trigger's in you.
Yeah.
They're also wrong.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, but it's like, can you put that aside and be with the experience as it is and see what that's doing with you? Like, I think one of the things that's been most helpful for me in the last few years has been exploring the 37 practices of a bodhisattva, which are mind-blowing because they turn all what we think of as societal norms upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Someone slanders you. Oh, well, thank them for making you look at what might be some of your faults and treat them as your teacher. I mean, it's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Are you nuts?
Yeah, but the Dalai Lama
like,
said that about the Chinese. Like, they've been my greatest teacher. And if he can say that about the Chinese, I mean, then anything's possible.
right? Right.
So tell us a bit more. I want to know, because you brought up the 7 practices of the bodhisattva. 37 practices. So, I mean, Tibetan Buddhism and Buddhist meditation and Buddhist practices are like very much a central focus of your spiritual practice in your life. How did that happen? I mean, we learned about the Ashtanga yoga, but this is like a whole other branch of yoga that...
It is, and it was a different journey. So in 1998, I went through my first relationship breakup with a guy, and it was very devastating for me. And as you might recall, in 1998, AIDS and the AIDS epidemic and the fear of AIDS was very prevalent. And I was petrified, and I clung to him for dear life because I thought, well, as long as we're together and we're monogamous, like, I'm safe, and I can still be gay, but I'm a good gay. Yeah. I'm like still, as close to being a Christian okay as I can be in this, so there were a lot of reasons why I was really clinging hard to that first relationship.
Were you a card-carrying log cabin Republican? Is that what you're telling us?
I wouldn't say that, but my liberal side has definitely blossomed over this year.
So the log
grown and grown and grown.
The log cabin Republicans are the wing of the Republican Party that's made up of gays and lesbians. Probably not a lot of lesbians, honestly, but go ahead.
Crazy. I don't even understand. But that happened, and I was devastated. And a good friend of mine, she gave me this book. I was living in Northampton, Massachusetts. She gave me this book, When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron, which a lot of folks are familiar with. This is such a great book. It's so helpful when you're going through difficult times. And that was my very first exposure to Buddhism. So much like that first exposure to yoga, I mean, it was just like it came, and I didn't have any background really. And I read the book. I found it really helpful. It made me curious. And so then from there, I read a lot. I started reading more books. I went to a few Buddhist gatherings, meditations, things like that. But it was very interesting because for a lot of years, I felt like the yoga that I was doing and the meditation, the Buddhist practice I was doing were just very separate. And when I would try to find ways to connect or question, there wasn't a lot of support coming, especially from the Buddhist side in the West, in the US. I would say that's not the case when I finally made it to Nepal, and I could get to that. But so that was my introduction. And so for many years, I was just kind of like I was thinking, well, there are connections here. And then when I finally did go to Nepal, everything just started to fall into place.
We have looked at and presented information on Vajrayana and Yantra Yoga. Norbu Rinpoche is someone that we had kind of brought up and we talked to about as a kind of way of maybe establishing that there was an actual link between Ashtanga Yoga and the myth that it had its origins in the Himalayas.
In the Himalayas?
Yeah.
I mean, there's more
practices.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
There's a lot of, it's really cool because there is a lot of scholarly activity around that these days, and we are learning more. I would just say that in my own experience, the connection feels undeniable. Once the door was kind of open and I got support from my teachers in Nepal, I was like, whoa, like I think that there's a lot of really great common ground between Ashtanga and Vajrayana, but I don't think that that's it's become less of a mystery to me because I really do think that it's coming out of the same time and place, historically, geographically. And I think that Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava played a huge role in that. And so it's really, really cool. And I mean, one of the big differences is that in Tibetan Buddhism and Vajrayana, it's typically taught secretly. So I study under the lineage of Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche with his sons, Jongyi Mingyur Rinpoche and Chokyamima Rinpoche. So the Tibetan yoga practices are called Trulkor or Salung. They don't teach that publicly. And they don't teach it, like it's very few people who get access to those teachings. I was talking to my main teacher the other day. I have really great access to him, so I can have full conversations. And I was asking him about it, and he said, it's many years within the monastery before one gets introduced to these yoga practices. So what I see changing, though, is some of the younger Rinpoches are starting to teach it publicly. And that is like, I don't know. Like for me, it makes me a little uncomfortable. But at the same time, I think that it could be very, very beneficial if done correctly.
I remember hearing from Geshe Michael Roche that he had conversations on this subject 20 or 30 years ago, that he was like, he'd come back from the West and he's like, these secret teachings, like everybody in Hollywood's doing them. Like everybody's doing this stuff, and somehow it got out, and it got out maybe through Patabi Joyce or Krishnamacharya letting it out of the bag, but it got out, So, but would you feel comfortable describing them and seeing if there are relations for
like some of the similarities or differences that you've noticed?
Oh, well, I haven't been taught it.
Oh, they're hiding it from you still.
Yeah. So in the lineage that I practice, like you generally, as a Westerner, like I wouldn't get access to that until like the third year of 3-year retreat.
Wow.
3-year solitary, full-on retreat. And I have this aspiration, this pull to do 3-year retreat, but I also have a family that I dearly love here, and it's hard for me to imagine doing that right now. My parents are 78, and they're in great shape, but like to disconnect and leave for 3 years, that's a long time at this curve. So I don't know. I hope I get to, I think I will do it at some point in my life, but I will say this. So in my conversation, Chokyamima Rinpoche is the head of a monastery in Kathmandu. He's the one I took refuge with, but one of the Khenpos from his monastery, which Khenpo is like PhD degree teacher in Buddhist.
Okay.
The Buddhist.
The old sash. Or yellow.
I don't know.
The yellow,
maybe.
The yellow vest is what I mean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yellow vest. Yeah. So he knows my practice. Like I've been having one-on-ones with him since 2010, and more the last couple of years. I spent a lot of time with him. And
this is mainly a meditation practice that they've been.
Well, when I say he knows my practice, he knows I practice Ashtanga. He learned a lot more about Ashtanga through getting to know me through our discussions. Yeah. But as far back, like 2017, I had a meeting with him where I asked the question, because at that point I was convinced that he was going to tell me to stop doing Ashtanga.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was jumping the gun, and so to speak, maybe. But I asked him and he said, no. What? He was like, no, keep doing what you're doing. It's great. So he's been very supportive of it. But he also is kind of like, but there are things like that you may learn or you may explore in Vajrayana that aren't in that. Now, what that is exactly, I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
I will say, like, I feel patience is so important on this path. And I feel like I've come to this very easeful place in terms of the path and my steps on it. So I used to push on everything that I did, and in the last few years in particular, it's just not how I see or operate anymore. So I'm just kind of like, okay, like I'll just keep showing up, keep practicing. And when I, practice, I mean, my general morning starts with a meditation practice. I do what's called Nundro in Vajrayana, and then I get on the mat and I do Ashtanga.
Yeah, I wanted to know your whole day, actually. I wanted to know if you could walk us through exactly how a day goes for you.
No, I have a question about the Nindra practice.
Let's start with that one. Yeah.
So, like, a lot of people are familiar with Vipassana because of S.N. Goenkaji and, more like the Theravada Buddhist practices like Anapana and or Anapana meditation, like just following the breath, or Vipassana more like, scanning the body. But how does like this Vajra practice differ, like the Tibetan Buddhist practice differ?
Well, it one of the ways it differs is that, so Vajrayana, there are three major groups, three major schools within Buddhism: foundational or Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana. And Vajrayana is also Mahayana.
Mm-hmm.
But Vajrayana adds Tantra. Vajrayana adds an emphasis on the body and working with the body. So this is why I think like it makes a natural fit with Ashtanga practitioners, for people who are already doing Ashtanga and or yoga in general. And Vajrayana very much encourages you to use everything as a support for meditation, to like go out into the world instead of turning away from the world and going inward.
Mm-hmm.
It's still an internal practice, but it's open eyes, it's colorful, it's noisy, it's smelly, it's all the senses are provoked. And that's on purpose, because everything serves as a support for awareness. So what this does is it means that you can take your practice with you anywhere, anytime, all the time. And what we do is we only delineate between like formal practice, where you sit on a cushion or you purposely go on a walking meditation. You're like purposely doing specific practice for a set period of time, versus informal practice, which is when you take it out into the world. And so that is something that I've learned most about with Yongey Mingyur Rinpoche. And it's been so life-changing because it's made meditations much more accessible, and it's made it such a much more meaningful part of my daily life. And that's how I get space in my life. I love, like David Grieg said this years ago. I was sitting in a class with him. This is in Kovalam. He was teaching, and he said, everybody talks about sukha, dukkha, but one of the things I want you to know is that sukha means space or spaciousness, and dukkha is a lack of space. And when you like really work with that definition of sukha and dukkha, so interesting. Like it really opens up some cool areas of exploration in body and mind.
Yeah. How so?
Well, because if you think about it, everything that we do that causes stress, dissatisfaction, pain, suffering, or dukkha, in some way, you feel this embodied. You feel this in your body. There's tightness, there's cramping, there's hunching, there's protective like movements of the body. But when we have space, you feel that opposite feeling is very tangible. It's very tactile. And so that's one way that when you say how so, like that's one way.
Yeah, it seems to me like it's very related to the nervous system as well, because like when you're in fight or flight, you're like
hunched.
Everything's contracted and you're like
upon it,
ready to like run or fight. But when you're in the parasympathetic state, you're open, you're receiving, you're relaxed.
Chronic.
And so even that alone, just that nature of the body and the way our nervous system naturally responds to stress or not stress or space, relaxation.
Right.
Yeah.
The Vajrayana posture, the 7-pointed posture of meditation, in my way of thinking, that's the ultimate asana. All the other asanas help us and contribute toward mastering that ultimate asana. And the reason I feel like it's ultimate is because in Vajrayana posture, the main point is to have the, nice upward alignment of Sushumna Nadi, the main Nadi, which is recognized in Vajrayana as well as Ashtanga. And and then letting the rest of the body relax so that prana can flow. Lung in Tibetan. So there's so much overlap. Like what I do know about Tulku is that it focuses on prana, nadi, and bindu. And it's like, oh, what does Ashtanga focus on? You know, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
The relationship is there.
Yeah. Prana, nadi, and bindu. There's nothing else really.
No.
I have a question. I'm not sure if this is something that you can answer for me. I asked our Lama at the temple, and he said that it was outside his tradition, and it was a Nyingma traditional form. I was asking about using the practice of Dzogchen to see and feel Rigpa, consciousness. So like just letting a thought be a bubble, move on, feel Rigpa. Rigpa manifests another thought bubble, let it move on. Is that something that's within your tradition or scope to be able to speak to?
Yes and no. Like, I'm very careful about talking about Dzogchen or Mahamudra because I feel that is reserved for the Rinpoches.
Oh, okay.
But I will say,
I've been trying it, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting."
No, I'm not saying don't try it or don't teach it, but I just feel like to actually teach it or even speak about it.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
like really come from them.
Yeah,
but the process to get ready for that is what I've been working with, and what I feel like what I've also been working with in terms of being able to share with others. And again, Mingyur Rinpoche has been so helpful in this regard because he really emphasizes developing a direct experience with awareness, Rigpa, in some ways you could say. And so we work with these practices to get ready so that when we sit with these great lamas, then we can receive those teachings in Dzogchen and Mudra.
Wow. Because I've been doing it, and after learning it through Sogyal Rinpoche's book, I just sat and I tried it, and I was like, well, this works really well. I could see it. Like, I like this. Like, I can see how it just puts a ribbon on something and lets it go. And then if something emotionally vibratory in the chitta, like I have a conversation with your mom, is if something like that happens, then I'm aware of how vibratory my consciousness is. It's like, oh, this is really tough to put a bow on. I need to let this sit for like 2 or 3 days before I'm able to do Dzogchen properly. And I thought, but it seems I just really liked it. I really liked it as a practice.
Well, and I think that's wonderful. And everybody. I mean, part of the Buddha's magic was being able to meet people where they were. And that's, I think, something that we as Mysore teachers can strive for as well. And so I feel like that's in our lexicon now to try to, but that was his skillful means, like being able to give people what they needed to hear, what they could hear, So for us, like you've been practicing for a long time. This is what I think that long-term yoga practice positions us in a more push-deep state, like to be more ripe, to be more ready to receive these teachings, which could come in a book. And I think, I've heard some talk recently in the Vajrayana world about how that might be all we have in the not-so-distant future are the books, which makes it very sad, but, So, and Sogyal Rinpoche, regardless of his faults, was an amazing teacher. And
who are the three of us to not speak of our own faults? Speaking of faults, can you talk at all about how you met John Campbell?
Oh, well, so this is interesting. So I've been doing leading these pilgrimages in Nepal since 2010. And Tim Feldman has done 4 different pilgrimages with me as a guest teacher.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. He is awesome. And we have a very good friendship. And he's been a great teacher, mentor, friend to me, along with Kino. And they're funny. They're so helpful. And they're often they'll send me messages like, Cory, we think this would be a really nice fit for, especially now that they've had the experience. Like Kino, Tim's done Nepal and Bhutan with me. Kino's done Bhutan with me. And so he recommended John. Tim recommended John.
Yeah, of course.
And I reached out to John, and it was very, very nice. His response was super excited and receptive. And so that was cool. So I'm really looking forward to working with him. I mean, it's funny because I've known with him for a long time. I was almost a little bit intimidated because he is so knowledgeable and has been working alongside such, Bob Thurman and like really in it. So I think it's going to be awesome to do this with him because, like working with Tim has been so cool because Tim's been so open and so curious and enthusiastic about these teachings that he's received while he's been with me in Nepal. And so I think if you ask him, he would say his teaching of Ashtanga has evolved due to his time in Nepal. But with John, it's like he's coming in with Ashtanga and Vajrayana already. And so it's going to be really fun to see how that plays out.
It's going to be really powerful.
Because he may be, of anyone in our community, maybe the most significant one who's spent the most significant time in his off time going to Bailakuppe. And we've all been to Bailakuppe, but who've been to Mysore, but like he spent equal time there.
Well, and he has a PhD in Tibetan Buddhism.
And he has a PhD in Tibetan studies, And so it's equal measure is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I would say probably more so. And finished 4 series in Ashtanga Yoga. I mean,
that's what I mean by equal measure. Like it's a big deal.
Yeah, but the PhD in Tibetan Buddhism is a little bit harder.
I would say 4 series is a little bit harder than getting a PhD.
No.
It's a lot fucking harder. You've got to go forward and then go backward right away. Forward, then backward, then back, then forward again. It's right away. It's really hard. All you have to do is sit in a chair and get your PhD. Do 8 years. Easy. Awesome.
I think it's not easy. I think it's very difficult, especially in Tibetan Buddhism, because you have to learn Tibetan, you have to learn Sanskrit.
You just get the financial support. That's all you need.
No, it's a big deal.
Someone pays you to sit in a chair.
Also, sitting in a chair is much harder than moving around.
Man.
Vipassana to me was the easiest time I've ever done of all the prison time I've had.
You've only done it once.
It was easy.
You've done it like 10 times.
It was super easy.
I loved it.
I loved it too. But that's why I kept going back. I'm like, send me back. Still take me away from this world. It's too much.
So I don't want to ask too personal a question of you, but
I'm pretty open.
Did it sound? It sounded to me like you were married for 22 years, and is that past? Is he still with you?
We're not together anymore.
Yeah. So you're here in Western Kentucky by yourself, and you wake up and you do your Vajrayana practice, which is a meditation-based practice, and then you
So Nundro is so traditionally like a traditional approach to Vajrayana is to start with the 4 mind turnings. So you work through meditative practices, meditative contemplations of precious human life, impermanence and death, karma and interdependence, and samsara and suffering. I did that under the guidance of Chokyinima Rinpoche. I did it. It took me years because of my hard-headedness and because of my Christian upbringing. There's just a lot of resistance and a lot of so I did it twice because I wasn't satisfied. And so I did it with this goal, with this aim in mind. I'm doing this to see, am I Buddhist? Am I going to commit to this? And if I'm going to commit to this, then I'm going to take refuge. And to me, that act of taking refuge was very significant, and I didn't want to do it without being certain. And this is sort of related to my scientific background and all that. It's just
Tell me more before you go on about the challenge of being raised in this very Christian culture, and then the confrontation with Buddhist ideology and principles.
Is it the Jesus thing? Is that it?
No, I mean, it's very different. One's circular, one's linear. There's lots of things that create issues for people.
Okay.
For me, the biggest issues came when I saw things that I felt like looked like Christianity. And I was kind of like, wait a minute, but why, why is there talk about like hell realms, for example? And it just really kind of like would push me away in a sense and bring up a lot of doubt. But that's part of it. And that's, that's one of the reasons I love Buddhism is like it encourages you to be doubtful, to really, really dive in there, have a direct experience and make up your own mind, not go forward on blind faith. So I was very much trying to make sure that I wasn't doing anything based on blind faith or under some feeling of it was like because I was supposed to. Because growing up, like I wish in a way that I could have digested Christianity the way the rest of my family seems to. But for me, it was always just kind of like, this is not making sense to me. Yeah. I can't sign on to it wholeheartedly. And so I felt like a phony, and then there was the whole gay thing. And that was, so some of those things were coming up, and also just like when you really sit with those concepts and dig into them, like it's some deep stuff. There was also a lot of overlap with science, which in a way made it easier, but then also made it more cerebral and like academic and stuff. I was just like working through all of that, and I wanted to be sure. And so then I did take refuge with Shokyunima. And when you take refuge in Vajrayana, that opens the door to this second set of practices. So this first set of practices, doing these contemplations of precious human life and so forth, that's called the common preliminaries. After you take refuge, then you start working with the uncommon preliminaries, which is also called Nundro. And the uncommon preliminaries get a little more esoteric, a little more internal, like you start by taking refuge, cultivating bodhicitta, like that's a practice in and of itself. And it involves mantra and visualization. And in these uncommon preliminaries, this is where visualization starts to come into the picture, which is a big part of Vajrayana. And then after you do that, then you do a purification, this was a stumbling block for me as well. It's a sort of a confession kind of thing, but not in the sense of asking someone else to forgive you. As my teacher told me, it's like you're forgiving yourself. You're letting that stuff go so that you can move on. It's like, whoa. But it also means like really looking at what are my hindrances? What are my kleshas? What is the stuff that's coming up that's creating suffering for me and others in my life,
So much.
Yeah. And then the last part of it is called Guru Yoga. And this is like, it's such a beautiful thing, but it's like allowing your mind, your heart to merge with the mind and hearts of those who aspire, who inspire, who like are your gurus. And I've been very, very fortunate in that way because one, my resistance to the idea of a guru was not strong. Like that's been pretty easy for me to work with over the years. But also I feel like it's been a very healthy way.
Yeah.
I think it can get unhealthy. And so I've been fortunate. But then also I had just the great opportunity, good fortune to meet incredible teachers in Nepal that I'm still working with. So
I do think that having a patriarchal society that, put pastors at the center of the community, it does allow us to join cults quite easily.
Yeah.
I mean, but every society is like that. I mean, you can't tell me that Indian society isn't patriarchal and putting like Brahmin priests at the center of things.
But if you're going to break away from something that like Christian, you're going to go to something that's will subconsciously have the same forms that are recognizable. It's
I understand what you're
saying. Bearded guy, that's going to work for me.
Yeah, but the whole world is based on this patriarchal hierarchy.
Yeah. But I think this is also interesting, like because anything can have a good side, a positive and negative. Like, so a cult isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think religion isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it can be a very debilitating thing. Like all of these are like based on your mind, first of all, but like how you approach it.
We project onto those words particular connotations, and I think all religions stem from cults, and all cults stem from a mystic experience that someone is trying to share. And you can decide whether that's negative or positive.
Yeah. I mean, like these days, the word political is seen as such a bad word, especially around, but to be political is not a bad thing. Like it means you care about your community, like you're motivated there can be compassion and love behind that, not power and greed.
Yeah, I think many great philosophers said that to be human is to be political. So you are political whether you
by nature.
want to be or not, because we're social creatures, we're social beings.
Yeah.
That's the very foundation of politics is social, like being a social creature, right? I mean, gorillas are political too.
Highly political. We watched that Attenborough documentary. They are extremely political. Like they're sizing each other up constantly.
Tell us about your, are you training? Do you have a meditation training program? And tell us a little bit about this trip to Nepal. And oh my gosh, sign us up for the next one.
Well, do you mean, by training?
I don't know.
The training that I
Yes, the training that you're doing, that you are teaching, leading, guiding, offering.
Yeah. So, then I'm leading. Well, the training I'm doing my focus is with Mingyur Rinpoche, and it's called Path of Liberation.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a program called Joy of Living and a book that supports it, which I highly recommend to everyone. And it's like, you don't need to be Buddhist to do it. It's just an incredible way to learn more about meditation and get more comfortable with it. So that's a great program. And I did that twice.
Amazing.
There's level 1, 2, and 3. It takes years. I did them both twice, but now I'm doing Path of Liberation. So what I'm teaching is, I still will teach Ashtanga on occasion when invited. I don't have a shala anymore, so I'm not teaching it every morning anymore. But I'm leading these pilgrimages, which at first I didn't realize, but it's a way of teaching in and of itself. Yeah. And like the real purpose behind it is to share the Dharma, and it's an amazing way to share the Dharma. And I've seen so much benefit for so many people, and that's what keeps that fuel going to keep it up, because there are parts of it I don't like. I hate selling stuff. And so that part, the marketing, the Instagram part of it, I wish I didn't have to do, but so keeping that up. I'm teaching on Om Stars, which has been awesome because they have been really supportive and giving me the opportunity to teach various things within the Buddhist world. So mostly in Buddhism and meditation. And when I do that, I've really been thinking about it in terms of what would have helped me back when I was trying to figure all this stuff out. Because I feel like in the West, sometimes people can, in the Buddhist world, I hate to, but sometimes it can get a little bit difficult to get access to the information or something. Almost I don't know how to explain it, but no one really told me about this process that I've gone through in a way that could have made things a little smoother. So I've just been trying to.
You weren't given a syllabus.
Or even a guidebook. A map.
Yeah, and or it can be there can be a little bit of a map, which is nice. It's nice to have that, So I've been doing. I just did a course for them on the 4 mind turnings, and it was just each week, kind of explaining what it is and leading meditation. And we're just trying to help people get familiar with this process, so it's a little less elusive.
Yeah, it's super helpful. I think that's. And I think it's very important actually too, because, Ashtanga yoga is great, but honestly, the true essence of yoga is in a meditation practice, because even yoga, when you look at the Yoga Sutras, it's about the mind. Yeah. And your mind shows up in your relationship to everything that you do, every person you meet, every course you take, every show you watch, every everything you eat, the way you deal with your money, the way you show up on social media, like all of it, right? That's the mind. Are you escaping something? Are you running towards something? Are you trying to run away from something? Are you showing up in your fullness? What are your judgments about yourself? What are your attitudes? Like, I mean, it's everything. And so that is like the practice of yoga is exactly what you've been talking about, is observing how you're relating to yourself and the world around you, and how the world around you is actually just a reflection of how you're relating to yourself.
Yeah.
And
totally.
Unfortunately, just doing a bunch of asanas doesn't like really take you to like that juicy resistance that starts to show up when you're come face to face with things you don't like in the world.
Utter.
No, it doesn't.
No,
because
when I started the practice from day one, I encountered discomfort, was encouraged to breathe in the face of discomfort. Now, I know a lot of ladies at home don't experience discomfort in their practice. They have a really nice time. I have never had a nice time doing asanas. And so I was constantly adjusting my breath and my mind in right in the face of how incredibly nauseating this experience.
Yeah, but it's only in one element. It's like a lot of people don't take that aspect and translate it into every aspect of their life.
Help me out, Cory. Don't you take that aspect and translate it to every other aspect in your life?
I don't think people do.
I think Cory and I do because it's a gender issue.
I think you can. David Garrigues said something years ago that was very helpful to me. He referred to an asana as a meditation device. And I was like, whoa, that's an interesting way of, characterizing it. And I got to thinking about it, and it's like, the postures can serve as an opportunity to connect with, to recognize awareness. So like Mingyur Rinpoche says, awareness is the essence of meditation. The practice of meditation is recognizing awareness. And I think that this is part of the utility and the magic of asana practice, is that it's an easier entry point for a lot of people. And it does accomplish this. It can accomplish this thing of, connecting with, like being with awareness, recognizing awareness. And of course, a lot of people may not realize that. And even if they don't realize it, I think on some level it's happening. But
I agree. I think that there is an element, if we can bring all three of us together, I think there is an element of scaffolding all of these limbs and all of these noble truths on top of one another as we climb.
Yeah, because even
use these elements. If you still want to be angry, that's fine.
Because even the 8 limbs, I mean, asana is like one aspect of it, the whole thing. And it's talking about taking a seat. It's talking about like sitting there to be comfortable. It's not talking about working out every day to the point of exhaustion because you can't stand gaining 5 pounds.
When I do yoga, I'm often just sitting there. But go on.
No, but I mean, I'm just talking about the addiction to Ashtanga that develops, and everyone's so scared to like gain weight and like lose their asana practice, and like they've so identified with this practice that now their self-worth is tied to it, and that's like so much the opposite of what yoga is trying to do, which is trying to free you from your attachments.
But it also
and your identification.
The mind does that in every single thing it does, including our podcast. Like we are the best at this podcast, Cory. And we identify so strongly in our ability to
no one else could do this.
Well, it's true. Nobody else could do this particular podcast because we are unique.
She's tried to get other co-hosts, and it's not working. Okay, so when are you going to Nepal?
Well, I think you guys are very fun. Well, this is funny. I'm currently in the middle of trying to secure a visa for China before I leave on June 19th. I'm leaving to go to India, where I'm meeting my friend Bidor, who's Nepali, and we do these trips. We do the pilgrimage work together. He's Nepali. He manages things in Nepal. Anyway, we're meeting because we're going to go to Ladakh and Dharamsala and Amritsar, but the focus is Ladakh. because it's someplace that I've been wanting to go for a long time as a personal pilgrimage place, but also because maybe we'll start taking groups there.
Wow.
So we're scouting that out a little bit. Then we're going to go to Nepal, and I have 22 people plus 2 nuns, a monk and his mom, and we're all going to Tibet to do the Kora around Mount Kailash. And then from there, I'm going to Portland to study with Mingyur Rinpoche. So I'll be gone for a couple of months, and I just learned a couple of days ago that there's an issue with getting the Chinese visa as we had initially planned. So now I have scrambling to get this visa before I leave.
You need the Chinese visa to go to Mount Kailash in Tibet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Wow, Mount Kailash has always been somewhere I want to go. So let's.
I know, yeah. It's like it's all from all sides,
All
It's
sides.
like Shiva and Padmasambhava and Milarepa. It's like,
Yeah,
very
powerful. And you will love Leh Ladakh. It's Leh and all the surrounding area. It's one of my favorite places in India. It's so magical.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited about that. We're doing this Tibet trip. I mean, it was something I'd always wanted to do, but going to Tibet is not always a possibility. And for a while, the pilgrimage route around Kailash was closed. But about 1.5 years ago now, my friend Peter and I were up at the nunnery visiting one of our teachers. Her name's Ani Gantara, and she's 69 now, but at the time, she expressed this desire to go to Kailash again before she passes. And it just immediately, I looked at Peter, I'm like, we have to take her. Because in 1998, I think it was, or 6, my grandma at a family Christmas, I had a big family, all the farm family, like everybody there. And she announced that she wanted me to take her to Jerusalem. And I didn't.
Oh,
like it did. You know what I mean? Like I would have, but like it didn't happen. So when Ani said that, I just immediately was like, "Oh my God, I'm not letting that happen again." So we're taking her. It's happening.
That's beautiful. Well, tell everyone where they can connect with you and follow your adventures and your journey and your travels and join you on the pilgrimage if they want coming up in September.
What's the deadline to sign up for that?
Well, the deadline is either when it fills up or it would be like mid-August.
Yeah.
You can find me and you can find the information at thespiritualpilgrim.com. So The Spiritual Pilgrim is the name that we came up with for this pilgrimage business that we have. And yeah, we've got that trip coming up with John Campbell, but we also do ton. And we do a really awesome trip in India where we go to the main 4 pilgrimage sites of Buddhism. It's where the Buddha, where he gave his first teachings, where he was enlightened, where he died, and where he was born, in that order.
Amazing.
And so, yeah, that's where you can find me.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was such a enlightening conversation.
Yeah. Well, you. Nice to spend this time with you.
Yeah. Hey, before you sign off today, I wanted to invite you to an intimate group experience, a small group that Russell and I are curating. We're holding space for people who want to go deep. We're curating a beautiful experience with 2 other facilitators who are not just friends, but are family to us, and it will be happening in early November. This will be on the west coast of Canada, and it's going to be an incredible time to truly slow down, to get off your devices, a place to reconnect, and remember who you are beneath all of the noise of everyday life through art, therapy, yoga, meditation, breath work, and different embodiment practices, nature immersion. This weekend retreat will hold so much power and potential for your growth. This space will be held in a way that is truly there for your transformation with care and guidance and the conditions for doing some very deep listening and deep healing work. I cannot wait to be offering this incredible experience to a very small group of lucky individuals who want to join us for this journey. So if you would like to be included in this journey or you want to know more, then please reach out to me. You know where to find me on Instagram, and I would love to share with you more details about dates, times, and places and costs for this incredible experience. That's it. We've concluded another episode of the Finding Harmony podcast. I just want to thank you so much for doing the work that changes the world, starting with yourself. It truly does make a huge difference. Please make sure you have your automatic downloads turned on wherever you listen so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. I have so much more magic I can't wait to share with you. Lastly, if you're on Instagram, I love connecting and hearing from you. So come on over and say hello at Finding Harmony Podcast. And you can also come say hello to me personally at Harmony Slater Official. Thank you again for being here. I cannot wait to share more with you in our next episode.